And joining us now in studio is sneaker insider Nick DePaula. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. Okay, so we got to start first with Cooper Flag and New Balance. New Balance seems like they're trying to get more and more into basketball. They've had relationships in the past with Kawhi Leonard and Jamal Murray, but it seems like this is a little bit different now.
I think it's a perfect fit. Other than Coco Gauff, this could be the biggest signing in New Balance's brand history of the recent time. They just relaunched basketball in 2018, dormant for about 20 years. Kawhi Leonard did win a title in their shoes, but now you have Cooper Flag, who grew up 25 miles from a New Balance factory.
True.
First, white American player that was a #1 pick since I believe 1977. So the Made in USA story, they could really double down on that, and for him to be the headliner for the brand going forward, I think it's going to be pretty big.
There's always sort of been, I guess, this perception with New Balance that they're like dad sneakers.
Yep.
Do you feel like this changes that at all with Cooper Flag?
It's still that brand.
Okay.
They had a great campaign. It said "Worn by dads in Ohio and supermodels in London."
Yeah.
So they've kind of always leaned into that. The gray suede is kind of their signature color, even though it's not a color really. But I think that's the piece that the brand has always leaned into. It's works in multiple settings, and the basketball shoes have kind of taken on a different style, a different design. So it's not necessarily the 574 suede as we know the lifestyle shoes to be.
Sure.
And they're looking for Cooper to really push the envelope of where that goes.
But we know, traditionally most players sign with Adidas or even Nike, which has seen sales decline just a little bit. Does New Balance now cut into that market share with this signing or any potential other signings? By the way, we forgot they have Shohei Ohtani as well.
Yeah, they've tried to sign an icon in each sport, I would say. So they have Shohei in baseball, Coco in tennis, but Nike does have around 65% of the NBA. When you add in Jordan and Converse, it carries up a little above 70%. And New Balance has about a dozen players. And they have a great roster of guards. They have Zach LaVine, Tyrese Maxey, DeJounte Murray, but they look at Cooper as a guy potentially that could be a signature athlete. Kawhi's signature series has come to an end. He did have 4 models. And now the door is open for who that next player is going to be. Well,
let's talk about what Nike has in the WNBA. One of the most, in-demand shoes is going to be Caitlin Clark's sneakers that she's got, but we don't really know when they're going to drop. Do you have any insight into that?
So she was drafted last year, obviously. I once asked a player what skill they learned in the shoe process over time, and they said patience.
Okay,
and I just laughed because there is a 2-year process to signature shoes. So even though she signed last year, likely it'll be spring of 2026 when her shoe does come out. Personally, I think this would have been a great case to rush as much as you could and try to have a shoe out by Indy All-Star, with Indiana hosting the All-Star game next month. But it'll likely be next year. She's wearing Kobe PEs right now. There's a Navy Fever colorway that's releasing this month, and then there's a gray and blue pair that's dropping this fall. So she will have some shoes in market that she's wearing. But of course, the signature shoe is the much anticipated one.
Well, I was going to say, is there pressure on Nike given the fact of who she is, what she represents to the league and to women's sports, but also this is the first shoe she's ever had. So is there just increased pressure on this to get this right then?
So signature shoes, I would say in the W have, obviously there was about a 10-year window where there weren't any players with a signature. We've now seen Sabrina's line take off. Her line, there was 54 NBA players that wore last season. And it's become one of the biggest businesses in signature shoes. Asia Wilson now has had a successful launch as well. And so I think when Caitlin's shoe comes out, I think it can be a $100 million business.
Wow.
I think it could become a top 5 signature franchise, not just in the W, but across basketball. And so that would be one of the reasons I would have maybe rushed it.
Yeah.
But of course you want to get it right. There's just testing processes and marketing campaigns and the boring behind the scenes part that takes sometimes that long. So I think they want to get it right, and when we get to next spring, I'm expecting it to be pretty successful out the gate.
Let's move to another signature shoe, and this one is a big one as well, the 40th Air Jordans that we've got. Interestingly, you're wearing them. I don't even know if they're available yet for people to buy yet.
Couple weeks.
You can, of course, get them on Jordan's website and select Nike stores. But these are the 40th anniversary editions of the Air Jordans. They look great on you. This is the classic version, just the black and the white. But what's sort of been your initial reaction to wearing them and sort of what Nike's doing here?
I think everybody's first reaction is, wow, there's been 40 of them. And I just turned 40, so it makes
so it's all the more reason to wear it,
But I think the biggest thing is that the shoe still has sort of that elegant design and clean look that Jordans have always had, with some twists and quirks in terms of performance and technology. And I think when you think about Jordans, it's obviously become the formula for signature footwear across the industry and has set the bar. And so, Mike retired in the 14, then he wore the 18s in DC with the Wizards. So it's extended way beyond his playing career. LeBron is now on the 23rd model this fall, and you can kind of see where the torch has passed as the signature business has gone. But the thing I think that's most interesting with the 40 is it's still the one annual Air Jordan shoe that we all know, but obviously the brand has extended just into all sports, into other facets. They have musicians on the roster now. It's beyond basketball. And Air Jordan is one shoe, but the brand is now at $7 billion. They're tracking towards $10 billion, which is insane. So to see where it went from just the white red ones to now 40 years later, it's cool to see just the growth.
Well, and also, as I mentioned earlier, Nike, sales are declining a little bit for Nike. Does Nike need this shoe to be a hit?
Yeah, of course. I think the thing about the Air Jordan model, you could say after the 23, there's been some up and down models. Even though the performance is always revered and great, sometimes the design, leaves some to be desired, and they've had some ups and downs. I mean, the 34 was great in the last decade, but they're looking for the shoe to kind of like reset the design language, I would say. It's a little cleaner, not as technical. And then they're looking for the next generation to really headline it. So you're going to see Paolo Banchero, Trae Young in the NBA. But a big thing for Jordan Brand was they signed Nafisa Collier this year.
From the Lynx,
Yeah, it's Friday here in New York today, and she's going to debut the shoe tonight.
Oh, interesting.
And be the first player to wear it in the game, which is kind of new for Jordan Brand to have a W player that can really headline it. And she could be the MVP this season and is the front runner right now.
And
so
the best marketing ever is to have the MVP wearing these shoes.
Yeah,
which
so
would
that would be
amazing.
huge for the shoe to have, obviously that validator on the W side, but to me, she's the front runner for MVP and would be great.
Before we get you out of here, I'd love to get your take on, look, we've seen this increase of Achilles injuries in the NBA, hitting big stars from Tatum to Dame Lillard to others, and low-top shoes. What's sort of your thoughts on this?
When you really look into it, the Halliburton shoe is a low, but the Tatum shoe is a little higher, and I personally don't think the shoes have any issues with that.
All right, Nick DePaula, Sneaker Insider. Thanks for giving us all this insight, man. We're all really excited for all of this. Thank you.